What's up, guys? Welcome to my room. I don't know what this is gonna be, but we'll see. I'm just kind of hitting the mic, and well, I'm looking at myself now. I'm usually used to looking at Taylor Swift or something, you know. On this monitor here, I got three screens. I got one here, here, and here, and the middle one is like an ultra wide monitor. Just hit the mic there, sorry. And yeah, the other two are standard. So that's my setup. I'll show you guys a picture sometime. Got my blue screen filter glasses on right now. They're not real glasses. They're not prescription or anything like that. Why is that relevant? I don't know. Sometimes I wear glasses, sometimes I don't. But you know, when I'm doing this, I'm sitting in front of the computer and I'm looking at it. I feel like I should try to protect my eyes a little bit while I can. So you know, that's why they're on. But yeah, it's a different look, isn't it? Jeez, yeah. I also feel like these lights are so bright on my eyes. Oh my gosh. When I look at it on the camera, at least, yeah, it really just. I look like I'm staring into the sun, and the sun is 10 feet from my face. That's what it looks like. That's so crazy. God. Should I turn them off? Maybe that looks a little less ridiculous. How's that? I don't know. I don't know what kind of light settings you guys want. We can change the colors a little bit too, you know? I got two lights up here, and they're all remote controlled. We can do green for now. That looks kind of weird, though, because I got this little background light on. Let's see. Okay. That's probably how you guys are used to seeing me. That's kind of cool. I like this. I mean, eventually I'm going to figure out the format here. I'm going to figure out like maybe a more structured way a structured way to talk, and I'm going to keep some water around so I can take a sip if I need to. My throat just got a little I've been talking a lot today. I had 3 phone calls today, really long phone calls. I'm not a super social guy actually. But so my point is, like, I have days where maybe I don't see very many people and I don't have that many conversations or something like that. But I also have days where I might talk to one of my best friends on the phone for 2, 3, or 4 hours, and that's actually not that unusual. I end up driving quite a lot, and sometimes I'm listening to music, or sometimes I'm listening to a phone call. More likely than not, I'm listening to one or the other. So I guess either a friend in my ear or music. So yeah, I think I have some days that are just very conversationally dense, and today was kind of one of those days. I talked to my buddy, Charlie. I feel like I can say your name. I feel like I can say your name because I don't think anyone's gonna find out who you are. But a couple of my other friends watch this podcast now, so they probably know Charlie. Yeah, so that's cool. Yeah, I really need to keep water around here. I mean, how unprofessional to have a little podcast thing and no water in front of you. I actually have a cup here, but I finished it. It was a glass of... Do you guys know what Moringa powder is? Moringa powder. I had that in a cup of almond milk. Real almond milk. I'll get to that in a second. So let me do this for you here. I'm going to switch off and on to different screens, I guess. So let's see, we can do this one where the screen will be small for me, right? Little me over here in the corner, sup. I'll explain this. Okay, first of all, we'll get to this real quick. We'll get to this first. I'm gonna switch over to this screen actually, just because I can't open a screen like that and then not talk about it, you know? Why do I have diaper changing station sign Target in the Google search bar? Well, I'll tell you why. Every time I go into Target and I look at this, I see a sign that looks something like this. It says diaper changing station. What? Turkish. Why is that even in Turkish? Okay, that's just, I don't understand why that's in Turkish. But anyway, they look something like this. Yeah. I clicked this tab earlier actually because I kind of wanted to get things up on the screen, so I'd, you know, just have it ready to go. And this is just so weird because it brought up this thing called pottybloggers.wordpress or whatever. That's so. I mean, what kind of person runs a potty blog? And it looks like all they do is. Sorry, I'm just seeing so many things that bother me. The blogger's name is Cheech. What kind of name is Cheech? Like Cheech and Chong? Looking for potty bloggers. What we do. Oh, God. There's just so many things. The only reason this came up is because I saw this picture and I wanted to click it to make it bigger, and it brought me to this blog where somebody took time out of their day to photograph and write a blog about this specific Target bathroom. And I guess that's what they do. They just take pictures of bathrooms and then log all this data online, and I don't know why. It's just so weird that this even exists. And there's a lot of weird things on the internet that exist, but I feel like this is in a whole category of itself, because it's like, it's not that crazy, but it's so specific, and it's so like, why would anyone do this? And now I'm thinking that do this. I hate that I'm thinking that. That's just, it's dumb and it's not funny, and I'm getting all sidetracked because I'm annoyed here. This is just unbelievable that this exists. And they got their email up here, email to pottybloggers@yahoo.com. Okay, whatever. I'm gonna just try to get over the fact that this even exists. It's so ridiculous. Anyway, my whole point is that there is a sign that says diaper changing station, and sometimes I see the signs, they're a little bit scratched out here and there. People are just trying to do their sort of ghetto graffiti. But it gave me the idea, what if you just scratched out the C here, or maybe painted over it in red, and it would just say diaper hanging station? How funny is that? I mean, it's not that clever or that funny actually, but I don't know, diaper hanging station, you just imagine diapers just hanging there, which is so disgusting, and it's just one letter away from being that. So I think it'd be a funny prank to, I don't know, Sharpie that out or something and make it look like diaper hanging station. It's a funny idea. Super immature. What was I going to look up? I was going to look up Moringa powder, because I'm having that now. Did you guys ever see my video about my vaccine update? I need to do an update video for one of those, but ever since I went through what I went through, which may or may not be related, it's just coincidental. At least it's coincidental. It might be directly related that I have so many health scares and just all kinds of ridiculous, crazy health-related stuff that happened after my first Pfizer shot. So I never got my second one, and I'm probably not going to, partly because of what I went through. There's a lot of, trauma involved with my experience with the vaccine, but I also just feel like it never ends. You get your second shot, then you get your booster shot, and I feel like they're just going to keep doing that. So, and I'm going to keep being careful. I go out there, I wear my mask. I don't go to like bars and nightclubs and stuff. I'm really not a high risk person in terms of my lifestyle, and statistically, I'm in a category of somebody that's very low risk. I'm healthy. I don't have any, pre-existing health conditions or whatever like that. So I just feel I probably don't really need the vaccine. And then on top of that, I'm being very careful when I'm out in public. I'm wearing my mask. I keep a reasonable distance, and I'm not going to nightclubs and stuff like I said. So, I mean, I really think that it's not worth it for me to risk going through what I went through again. So anyway, I've made so many changes in my life actually just because of everything I went through. I tried to address everything. I kind of went through a bunch of panic attacks with just health related stuff because I didn't know if something was wrong with me or if it was the vaccine, which is really scary to think about. Like, this thing just got injected into me and now my body's acting so strangely. So I was kind of worried about that because I felt like this thing is minimally researched, and it's just inside me now, and there's nothing anybody could do because it's so, it's kind of new in that way. There's not really much experience out there. And I know it was tested and passed and everything, but you know what I mean? Like in the general medical field, like we have no history with it really. It was the first time it's ever been released to the public like that. So that's my whole point. I don't really want to get into a debate about it, to be honest. I feel like everything I say, I have to say more stuff to explain that I don't mean this or that I mean that. And it's just, I don't know. Let's not do that here. But long story short, been making a lot of health adjustments to my diet and whatnot, and Moringa powder eventually came into the mix. I wasn't really looking for it, but I saw it and it came up, and I'm like, what is it? I started putting it in my tea. What is it? Because if I'm going to tell you what it is, I want to get it right. What's in Moringa powder? 15 times the potassium of bananas, really? Oh, maybe this is a specific brand of it. What is it? Can't something just say what it is? Anyway, it's like a healthy powder, and it kind of tastes like matcha. It tastes like that green tea stuff. Let's see. Does moringa powder make, or tea? Does it? Oh, leaves of moringa have laxative properties. Okay. These are not the kind of things. I just wanted to know, what is moringa? Gosh, why is this so hard to Google? Drumstick tree. Okay, I was not expecting that. Fast-growing, drought-resistant tree of the family I'm not even going to try to say that. Someone else can try to say that. I'm not gonna risk screwing that up so bad on camera. I'm just not gonna do it. Gosh, that's what it looks like. That's super weird. It looks like snap peas or something, kind of. They call it the drumstick tree. That's such a weird looking plant. So that's what they look like? Wait, what? Moringa pods? Okay. Well, maybe you get the gist of it. I'm taking way too much time talking about moringa powder, you know? I thought that this would be quick, but it's not that quick. What is moringa? Okay, well, we already kind of learned about this. Let's just leave it at that. It has various health benefits medically. That's accurate, I suppose, and I don't have to get too specific, because when you start getting specific and you don't know what you're talking about, you get a lot of stuff wrong. Yeah. Anyway, I started drinking it because it tastes nice. It sort of has a frothy, creamy quality, and it tastes like green tea a little bit. And I put it in almond milk, and I've been getting real almond milk recently, just very recently. Yeah, real almond milk, as in literally the ingredients on the back is just water and almonds, and that's it. If you look at almond milk in your typical store and you look at every single brand available, you'll probably see that there's all these gums in it, like xanthan gum or carob bean gum and all these other things. And I basically learned that almond milk, unless you're getting the stuff that is just water and almonds, you're barely getting any almonds in your almond milk, and it's mostly just gum. Like, you're getting all these different kind of gums and water, which is kind of gross to think about, and I just don't feel like I want to pay for gum and milk with a tiny bit of almond in it. So I don't know, man. One thing that's really been such an eye-opener recently, ever since all those health scares that I talked about having, was I went down this huge rabbit hole of health adjustments that I wanted to make in my life, and most of that stuff was dietary. So I changed a lot of things about what I'm eating and when I'm eating, and before all that, I've been kind of adoptive, I would say, of the keto philosophy. Really just the idea of reducing heavily the amount of carbs somebody eats, and that's something I thought was a cool idea. If you deprive yourself of carbohydrates, your body will have to use fat to get energy, pretty much. It'll have to use fat as energy, and I thought that that's an interesting idea. So I started reducing a lot of carbohydrates, and this was several years ago, but when I was doing that, I weighed maybe about 212 to 214 pounds, and I'm 6'3". And now I'm like in the high 170s or so. So I lost a lot of weight. And I'm much happier with my fitness and just appearance, overall general health. Like, it's all just been, it's been great. I'm a big advocate of the keto diet. And one of the reasons is because, well, think about all the bad foods out there. Most of the bad foods that you eat are probably carbs, like Cheez-Its and Cheetos and pizza. Pizza isn't really bad, except that you get that layer of crust that is just a bunch of wheat flour, which is just tons of carbs, and it's probably a really bad form of it for the most part. And the keto diet's interesting because it teaches you something about your body. You learn that carbohydrates spike your insulin, and when your insulin is raised, it basically puts your body in a state of storing fat. Whereas if you eat fat, it doesn't really have a significant effect on your insulin, so you eat the fat and you burn the fat, and that's how that works. Whereas if you're eating carbohydrates, there's a very short amount of time where the carbohydrates can actually be used directly as energy, and right after that, the body just starts storing it as fat. So my interpretation of that was that maybe fat is a really optimal source of energy. And the keto people kind of believe this because fat is a more stable source of energy, and the brain seems to really like it, the way that it operates when it's in ketosis, which is the state of fat burning. You can get into fat burning state with intense exercise and whatnot, or fasting. Those can get you into keto, but so can just reducing your carbohydrate intake. So anyway, what was I going to say with all that? God, lost my train of thought. That's going to be a thing for podcasts too, because you're going to get on this on these tangents, and you might lose your initial train of thought, and you're going to have to backtrack. And then, how do you smoothly backtrack without taking too much time away from, just trying to regather your thoughts or whatever? I mean, I got all these things. I'm looking at Moringa powder. I should probably close that. It's not really distracting me right now, but yeah, I kind of forgot what my point was. That's too bad. But anyway, had a lot of success on the keto diet and just naturally cut out a lot of terrible foods because I cut out a lot of carbs. And if you cut out carbs, you're going to cut out a lot of junk food. But I'll tell you this, I'm not fully keto. I'm mostly keto. It kind of depends on the day, and I'm not really tripping about it because I do a lot of cardio. I play a lot of tennis, so I am doing high intensity cardio a lot. And I think the more that you do that, the more maybe carbohydrates can play like a beneficial, healthy role in your life. But for the most part, I think it's really good just to reduce your carbohydrates, because most of the reason people are eating carbohydrates so much here, at least in America or most of the developed world, I would say, is because there's so much processed foods. People love their Doritos, for example, and what's the perfect thing to wash Doritos down with? Soda, So you go back and forth between a bag of soda and a can or two of Coke a day. You're getting so many carbs, so many processed synthetic chemicals. You're raising your insulin, you're storing fat, and you're storing the worst kind of fat. Like, it's just terrible for your health. It's really bad for your liver and your stomach, and the weight is an obvious side effect. But yeah, I kind of remember I remember what I was going to say now. I was going to say that it's interesting to consider that, since I pointed out that when you eat carbohydrates, it spikes your insulin, and then your body starts to store fat. It just kind of clicked in my head, like maybe the reason that your body is so quick to store fat is because it's such a good energy source. That's kind of what I thought. And I know that our bodies are kind of programmed to be survivalistic, right? Like in case of in case we just run out of food or something, the body can eat the fat or live off of the fat and buy a lot of time before it needs to get food again, for example. So it's a way to store energy. It can store energy in the form of fat somewhere on your body, and if it needs to, it can access that as energy later, and it'll convert that fat into energy again through a process called ketosis, which is why the keto diet is called keto. It's short for ketosis. So anyway, there's a lot of interesting just health and body related things that you can learn if you really get into the keto diet, and I'm a huge advocate of it. My life has improved significantly, I would say, ever since I have adopted the philosophy of it, because the way that I look at junk food now, it's changed me. It's completely changed me. And I used to really struggle with not eating terrible food because, I mean, God, there's so many attitudes out there about food and enjoying yourself, and I'll get into that sometime, but like, it wasn't until I really educated myself on how the body responds to the food that you eat that I really cared in a really natural way to change my diet. Because it used to be such that I just had to fight myself so much, like I had cravings, and I'd eat ridiculous stuff. I'd eat like an entire Oreo ice cream cake in maybe 2 days, because my logic at the time is that, like, if it's just sitting around, it's in the fridge, I'm going to eat it eventually anyway. Why don't I just eat it when I really want to eat it? And, also it'll be gone the sooner I eat it. So it didn't really make a difference in my head. And I guess I still kind of agree with that. But now eating any of that Oreo cake is just something I would never do. And this is an Oreo cake that's like, at least as big as my face. I mean, this is several thousand calories of Oreo ice cream cake. I mean, people don't really do this. I'm not really a person of moderation anyway. Even when I eat fruit, there's certain fruits that I just binge. Like watermelon. There's some days when there's just some really delicious, perfect watermelon, and they're like this big, like again, like at least as big as my head. I'm just gonna use my head as a metric for measurement for everything. But yeah, I'll have like two of those a day. When the season's really good for it, and I just can't help myself, and it's fine. I tell myself it's fine because it's a fruit. And now, even though I'm keto and fruits are kind of a high carb thing, it's still fine to me because I know where to draw the line. For me personally, I will binge eat fruit to some degree. That's fine. For me, that's my dessert now, kind of. I was eating with my friend. I was eating out somewhere, and I was talking about like, man, I need to control myself a little bit better on the fruit. Sometimes I just go ham on the apples or the watermelon or whatever it is. And he's like, dude, you're fine. If you're at the point where your cheat food is fruit, you're good. And I just took that in for a second, and I'm like, yeah, oh my God, you're right, man. If my dessert is a watermelon, yeah, but on the flip side, I'm having like two giant watermelons, but still, I get it. I get where he's coming from, and I'm with you. I'm with you, buddy. You know who you are if you're watching this. So yeah, try the keto diet out sometime. It's fun. There's a lot of delicious keto food. There's a lot of food. The one thing that made it so easy for me was the fact that, I mean, I think like when I was eating burgers and sandwiches, my personal feeling was that I thought that I was balancing out my meats by having the carbs. I thought if I'm going to have meat and veggies and stuff, I should have some bread with it, like I'm balancing things out. And that's just such a scam. That's not true at all. Like, what are you balancing out? You're just adding carbohydrates to your diet for no reason. And I'm not saying all carbs are bad, but I'm saying a lot of carbs are bad. Not just having a lot of carbohydrates, but I'm saying like the majority of carbohydrates that you find if you go to a grocery store or something like that, unless it's fruit, it's probably garbage. I mean, yeah, I think that's pretty accurate. I mean, think about the foods out there that are carbs that aren't fruit. I mean, what is it? I can't really think of stuff that isn't like bread and chips and, tortilla wraps. God, there's so much stuff. There's so many things I know now, and I can't really get into it here because the tangent is already, feels a little too long. But again, I'm just sitting down in front of the mic and talking, and, I'm kind of getting a feel for it. I actually, earlier today, I got some stuff in the mail that I ordered. I've ordered some lights. I have a pretty nice, I guess I should say, DSLR camera. It's a T5i. It's actually not that crazy, but if you don't know cameras and then you get a T5i, it's like, whoa, this is really nice. But if you're a real photographer, you're like, oh, that's very entry level. But I thought about setting that up and having my lights here and pointing at everything. And I set all that up, actually. I was going to sit down in front of that and do it that way. But I was thinking, one, that's kind of a lot of effort to do all the time. I don't have like a room in this house where I can just leave as a podcast room. That'd be cool. And if I did, I might do that. But the other thing too is, well, I didn't have an XLR cable, which is a cable specific to microphones. I just didn't have one. I thought I had ones lying around, but I don't. I'm using them all, and they're installed in such a way that they're really hard to uninstall. So I just got to get another one if I'm going to do that. So I might do that. But I also feel like this is kind of the format that you guys know me in. And I don't know, am I really relying on building a platform based on my podcast setup? Like, the thing about podcasts is that it's more conversationally based, right? It's not so much about the camera setup or whatever. As long as I have the tools to kind of show you what I need to show you, if it's relevant to the topic, like here, I wanted to talk about moringa powder and I pulled up a screen on it and I'm sharing it with you guys, as long as I can do that kind of thing, I feel like that's 95% of what matters. And then the other 5% is probably only relevant if you're really watching it on YouTube. Like, are you actually watching me word for word, just talking to the microphone like this and the camera? I mean, maybe you are. I've watched podcasts where I'm actually visually engaged, even though there's not really much to watch. You're kind of watching two people have a conversation or something, if it's one of those kinds of podcasts. Like, I watch Joe Rogan and stuff sometimes, but not anymore so much. I listen on Spotify, and I'd prefer to listen while I'm driving or, doing something else, maybe cooking. But I used to sit in front of the TV a little bit and I'd watch the podcast, but yeah, it just feels like there's maybe... Well, I mean, the other thing too is I've been very conscious of what I'm doing with my eyes. I try not to look at screens too long. I've been heavily limiting my use on the phone, like screen time on the phone. Anytime I'm looking at my phone, that time is being tracked. trying to keep it under an hour a day minus a couple of apps. But yeah. So to watch a podcast would just go against my goals right now. So yeah, just trying to be nice to my eyes. So yeah, that's my long explanation on why I don't have a typical podcast setup. But there's also huge YouTube channels that are just some dude sitting in front of a webcam, and the webcam doesn't even look that nice. But it's obviously not about that. So I'm trying to embrace that. But I think realistically too, the easier it is for me to just get the thing going, the more likely I am to do it. Like doing all this stuff with the camera and the lights, and I got to set it all up myself and sort of assemble a room to be ready for podcast and then disassemble it later. It's just going to be a whole obstacle that I have to face every time I want to do the podcast. And every now and then that's probably just going to discourage me from doing it. So I think it's important for me to just keep it as easy as possible for as long as I can, unless I feel like it's holding the growth back and the growth starts to feel really important to me or something like that. But again, I don't feel like the growth of the channel is really that dependent on that kind of thing, at least not for the podcast stuff. So we'll see. Yeah, anyway, I'm just talking about random stuff. I'll tell you this, since you're watching this, my goal or idea here that I think is going to work is as I sort of naturally talk about stuff, I think certain topics will come up that are maybe interesting or eye-catching in a way, and I'll take a clip of that and I'll throw it out there. I'll make a short clip of it, and it'll have like a really catchy title that's relevant to the subject, because I'm not trying to make clickbait here, but I would like to be able to clip pieces of conversation or monologue, I guess in this case, that I have, and I can title it in such a way that'll catch people's eye, and then they'll click the video and they'll watch it, and they'll find that piece of content had value, and maybe I can use that to sort of funnel it into the actual podcast episode where that conversation came from, because that's exactly how I run into podcasts sometimes. I'll hear a piece of a conversation and I'm like, I kind of want to see the whole thing now. So yeah, that's maybe something from this will turn into that. Maybe I'll have a thing on like, what is Moringa powder, and that'll be a clip, and maybe some people will click that. So we'll see. I'm just getting started. I know I do the Taylor Swift reaction stuff, but this is a little different. I don't want to do the Taylor Swift reaction stuff exclusively. But if you come from that, I really want to say that I appreciate the fan base a lot. They're very conversationally engaged. They have a lot to say, and they're very thoughtful people, I would say. So I really appreciate that audience, and I feel like that audience appreciates me for the way that I deliver the content and the thoughts that I have too. So we're both very appreciative of what we have to offer each other, and I think that's beautiful. So I'm just kind of taking that and doing a little bit more with it, doing something a little different with it. I can still do that reaction stuff, but I don't want to do it when I don't feel like doing it, but I will do it because I want to. Not just, all right, now you watched my podcast, I guess I'll do your little Taylor Swift whatever reaction video. It's not like that. I'm not going to come into, I don't know. I don't want to do anything disingenuously. Wait, I don't want to do anything disingenuously. Disingenuously? Oh my God, yeah. Guess what time it is, by the way? It's 6:24 in the morning, and I've been up since yesterday. That's just how it is. I know I've said that before, and I don't know. It's the lifestyle, man. It's the lifestyle. I'm not necessarily advocating it, but it is what it is. I woke up at 2 p.m. yesterday. And I played tennis from 10:30 or so p.m. until almost 1 in the morning last night with a cool new friend of mine. And gosh, I finished tennis at 1 in the morning, and then I recorded a podcast at like 5 or 6 in the morning. It's just like, what a day, what a life. It's cool. But yeah, it's late. It's probably past what my bedtime is or should be, so I might slur my words a little bit, but I don't need to make excuses. Anyway, I can show you one thing real quick that I'm working on just before I go, since you're watching, and show you a little bit about whatever it is I do or I'm up to. So, oh, that's so interesting. You know what? I'm sharing something on the screen, but it's not popping up here. Is there a way that I can do this? Oh, that's so weird that doesn't show up. I can't believe that doesn't show up. Wow. Okay, so I'm on this video editing software, and I'm like displaying that screen on this other screen, but it's not showing. I was going to show you a little bit of my tennis stuff. I guess I'll do that real quick. I can drag this here, right? Okay. All right, how about this? This will be my compromise. So we'll do this where I'm small here. All right, there we are. Oh, and there's perfect room for me to be there. So this is just a video of me hitting with my ball machine today, but I'm editing it because I like to watch myself sometimes in slow motion and just kind of study my stuff. But I also have another YouTube channel where I post tennis content a little bit, just because I kind of want to. It's fun for me. Maybe it'll go somewhere someday. We'll see. But I do that a little bit. It's me just hitting with my ball machine. It's very, you know, casually edited. But yeah, just playing some tennis here. I can't really say I'm playing tennis unless I'm playing with somebody else. But, you know, I'm hitting some balls with the ball machine. Yeah, I know I've talked about tennis with you guys. So, yep, there's me just practicing a little bit. And sometimes I do this, like I'll, oh yeah, this ball here's, that's a really good ball, by the way. Sometimes I'll do this. I'll just play myself sort of frame by frame and study my habits or my technique a little bit, and see areas where I might be able to clean something up, or, you know, what I'm doing well, what I could improve on. And so I'll look at a shot like this and sort of analyze it and take notes mentally. I'm really into my tennis. I play every day. I'm always trying to get better. If there's something that feels awkward in my game, I'm probably going to try to fix it at some point. So, you know, I'm a bit of a perfectionist. Yeah, that's a good ball. I put a lot of topspin on that one. You see how high the ball goes? And then how much it comes down? It's because there's a lot of topspin on the ball, which is like a forward spin, and it sort of pulls the ball up and then pulls it back down. Otherwise, the ball would just fly all the way out of the tennis court. So you got to put a lot of your energy hitting the ball into also bringing it down with topspin. People say that I have a lot more topspin than most people, and that's probably true. It's kind of it's a technique that I really, really exploit, but I also enjoy. Topspin is a technique that's kind of modernized the tennis game, I would say. Back in the day, people used to hit really flat, so you always had to catch a ball in such a way that the ball would kind of go straight into the place that you want, but now you can really shape the ball and do a lot more with the ball than was traditional to do. That's partly a technique thing that changed over time, but it's also partly a technology thing. The tennis rackets have just gotten better, I would say, and they've been designed in such a way to kind of favor topspin now, as other things like the strings and whatnot. But yeah, you know, it's technique and technology. It's both. Here's another ball. Yeah, fun stuff. So sometimes I'm doing this at these late hours, just editing a tennis video and studying it a little bit. Yeah. Oh man. Okay. Guess I'll just save that for now. And we'll come back to me. Or we can just do this, where it's just me. Right? Oh yeah, there I am. Pull up another thing here so we can see me just a little bit. It's kind of funny. I'm wearing this turtleneck, I guess. I don't know. It's a zip up. Keeps my neck warm. And it's got this little logo here in my head and my hands, and that's kind of all you can see. It's sort of weird. Anyway, yeah, I guess that's it for now. I'm running out of steam a little bit. I'm tired. It's time for me to go to bed, as I said. But yeah, if you watch this, thanks. That's cool that you hung out here with me all this time. Learned a little bit about Moringa and the keto diet, and I guess I talked about tennis a little bit, and I told you guys a bit about my health experience with the vaccine that sort of led to me taking my health to another level, I would say, because I was always kind of keto, and then I really cleaned up my diet while still being keto, and then long story short, I'm having Moringa powder now. Although Moringa is not like a big part of my diet, it's just something I tried and I have around now. It's like the first time I bought it, but yeah, I had it in my almond milk and it was super delicious. Really cozy, soothing drink. I might even make myself more just to, I don't know, just because The funny thing about eating so healthy when everything that you eat is so healthy or drink is so healthy is like, I kind of feel like I could just have another one. It's not like, oh, I had one piece of cake, I probably shouldn't have any more. It's like, if I have another glass of almond milk with moringa powder, like, who cares? You know, my body's probably not going to be upset about that. So I might just go ahead and do that. It's allowed me to let myself go a little bit more and just end up taking in more healthy nutrients more so than not. Yeah, the keto diet's really cool. I'll talk about it more in a future podcast. I just don't want to make this one too long. So yeah, this has been very unstructured. I suppose to some degree it probably always will be, because it's just me sitting down talking and saying whatever. But yeah, I'll have things, I'll have themes, I'll have some kind of a basic structure at some point. But for now, just getting a feel for it. I'm gauging interest and yeah, getting a feel for it. So we'll see how things come along. But thanks for watching, and thanks for subscribing if you are, and if you're not, consider it. Almost at 1,000 subs, feels kind of cool. Yeah, so I'll see you in the next one. All right guys, thanks for watching. Say hi in the comments, because I have no idea who's going to be here. This isn't like a Taylor Swift thing or anything. It's probably just the subscribers and whoever got funneled in from the clips that I talked about making, if I do that. So we'll see. This is an experiment. This whole thing is just an experiment. But it's also not to say it's not genuine or whatever. So anyway, yeah, it's been cool. I'll see you guys.